Here we need to solve the inequalities and write the answer in interval notation. So I just look at it first. I look to see how many times does my letter show up. There and there, so twice. I need to combine them. In order to combine them, I need to distribute. So 10 times x is 10x, plus 10 times 2 is 20. Carry down the rest of the problem. Minus 9x is less than or equal to -1. Combine my like terms. 10x minus 9x is 1x. Carry down the rest of the problem. One more step to finish. And remember, 1 times anything doesn't change it, so I don't need the 1 there. I now have my answer in inequality notation. I need to write it in interval notation. So I have to figure out what comes first. Does the 21 negative come first, or does negative infinity come first? Looking at my symbol, x is smaller, x is less than. So therefore I have the negative infinity as part of my answer here. So negative infinity always gets the round parentheses, comma, negative 21. I have the equal to sign there, so that gets squared off. That problem is done. Next problem. Negative 3/4 times y is greater than or equal to 9. There's only one thing to get rid of, so I'm going to multiply by my reciprocal. What I do on one side, I do the same thing on the other side of the inequality. The y is now alone. Multiply this. I'm doing it by hand. So I get 3 times 4, 12. One negative sign amongst all of it, so my answer is negative. Because I multiplied, I have to check. Is there a negative that I'm multiplying by? Yes. That is telling me I have to switch my sign. So the opening was towards the y. I switch my sign so the opening is away from the y. But I keep the equal to part. Now I need to write my inequality as interval notation. So I know I'm going to have the negative 12 in there. Question is it going to be on the left or the right? So I have to check it with something. If I say 0 is less than or equal to negative 12, that's not true. So if I had my graph, I have my negative 12, and I have 0. Okay, I don't want it to go in that direction, my line, because that would be wrong. Because going towards the 0 is not true. So I want my line to go in this direction. So now I see by drawing my picture that the negative infinity comes first. Infinity, positive or negative, always gets the round parentheses. Then the comma, then the negative 12. Do I close it off with round parentheses, or do I close it off with square bracket? It has a equal to part on the inequality. Because it's equal, it's square bracket. So now I have my answer there. Going over to this problem. First thing I want to do is distribute. So 6 times 2, 12. Positive times negative, negative. 6 times z, 6z. Carry down my greater than or equal to. Carry down my 12. Z is not alone. I go backwards with my order of operations to solve. So I get rid of the 12. That's just telling me it's either add or subtract. I see it's a positive number, so I'm going to subtract 12. Subtract 12. That cancels out. I have negative 6z is greater than or equal to negative 12. That's wrong. Negative 6z is greater than or equal to 12 minus 12. 12 minus 12 is 0. Z is not yet alone. It's multiplied by the negative 6. So I'm dividing by negative 6. What I do on one side, I do on the other. Now the z is alone. 0 divided by anything is 0. I divide it by a negative, so my sign gets flipped around. I hold on to my equal to bar. I now have the inequality version of the answer. I need to write the interval form of the answer. So I'm going to do a quick graph of this. Let's do that up here. I have 0. Z is less than or equal to 0, so I need to check that. Is 1 less than or equal to 0? No. Is negative 1 less than or equal to 0? Yes. So there's my negative 1. I want my line to go in that direction. Do I end this? Do I put in a square bracket or round parentheses? It has the equal to part on it. That gets squared off. So now that I know what my graph looks like, I see that I start with the arrow. So that means I'm starting with my negative infinity, comma. I end with 0. Negative infinity always gets parentheses. The 0, though, I have to go back and I have to look. It does have the equal part on it. It is less than or equal to. So because it has the equal to sign on it, it gets the square parentheses, square bracket. I now have my answer in interval notation.